Hello, welcome to the Extraordinary Asian Women, Real Stories. It is where Asian women from all over the world share their stories and inspire you to take actions. I'm your host, Claudia Chan. Our guest for today is a second generation Chinese American born and raised in Seattle, Washington. In 2015, a difficult breakup was the catalyst for her to spend a year traveling in India on a journey of self discovery. This led to an immense amount of growth, and she is now a certified life coach, guiding others on the journey of self actualization. She is passionate about personal development, creative self expressions, and forming deep connections. I'd like to introduce you to our guest, Tiffany Tong. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm great. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. So, Tiffany, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I actually have always wanted to be an artist since I was little, and I regret not going to school for art. I decided to major in communications and play it safe. My dad always said, why do you always want to do things that don't make money? And so I think that kind of was not encouraging for me to pursue art. But I do want to go back to school for it. But right now I'm focusing on my life coaching business. And after I came back from India, I was doing some soul searching and just kind of figuring out, what do I want to do? Trying to connect what I'm good at, what I'm interested in, and how I can help other people. I realized that life coaching was something that I wanted to pursue.
Wow. Okay. So let's go back a little bit. So, why was it that you went to India? What was the reason why you went to India of all places in the world?
Well, originally, my coworker told me about a school that her friend had volunteered at. And so that was the inspiration for going to volunteer at this school. And I was only planning to be there for maybe a few months and then travel to other countries, but I just never left.
Wow. So, when you said you never left, so how long did you actually stay for?
A year.
Oh, wow. So, what were you doing in that school?
I actually didn't get a chance to volunteer in that school. I was planning to go, but I had medical issues that came up. So that was why I left. But while I was in India, I spent time learning Reiki, which is energy healing, crystal healing, massage, and Buddhism. And I did a meditation retreat called Vipassana. So it was 10 days of silence and meditating for 10 hours a day.
Oh my goodness. I have so many questions regards to that. Like how did you get into all these? Like, were you introduced to it? Did you just find out about them or?
Yeah, I went to India not knowing anybody or anything. I mean, I did a little bit of research, but it was very new for me. And I was couch surfing when I first got to Delhi with a yoga teacher, and he told me about this Vipassana meditation retreat in Jaipur. And so I took the train down there and did that for 10 days, and then decided to stay to explore the city. And then I ended up staying there for 2 months with this family I was couch surfing with. Then I went to Rishikesh, which is a very spiritual town full of meditation and yoga. And there are just flyers everywhere for different types of workshops. So it was pretty organic. I just kind of followed what interests me.
Oh, wow. And you were so brave to be doing all that on your own, going to India on your own, not knowing what's going on. What was your internal experience? I mean, like, were you afraid? Were you just curious? Could you share with us about a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think I actually am a very curious person and I'm pretty independent. And I've done traveling alone before abroad. So it wasn't um, too new in that sense, but it was the longest time I had been away from home. So it was a little scary knowing that I was going to be gone for that long. And it was definitely a hard conversation to have with my parents. Like, hey, I'm going to quit my job and travel for a year. Like, that's something that they did not agree with.
Tell us a little bit about that because you mentioned that your dad was always had this like comments saying that why are you always doing things that doesn't make you money? Like how does that experience in going toward this year-long journey, and did you find any changes between your relationship with your parents after this experience?
Yeah, I think they obviously stated how they felt and their disagreements, but they were like, well, it's ultimately your decision, which I appreciated that they still respected me and what I wanted to do. So I decided I would still go. And I know when I came back that they were actually really worried about me the entire time. So I felt kind of bad, but it's a difficult position to be in because you want to be considerate of your parents and the people that care about you, but you also want to live your life for yourself. And I think that might be a delicate balance where some people can get stuck. And I think after that experience, I think my parents kind of understood a little bit more of what I'm about, and they're like, "Okay, like, this is what she wants to do," like, they'll they'll still support me ultimately, so I do appreciate that.
Oh, that is so great to hear that. Now, of course, like I just wanted to touch upon this just because I had traveled on my own before, and my parents are always worried about me when I'm on my own. So definitely, now that I'm a mom of a 3.5-year-old son, like I totally understand where they're coming from. So definitely, moving on, how did you find from like that trip alone transition you and kickstart this life coaching business of yours? Could you share with us about that?
Yeah, so when I came back, I was looking for work and I ended up being a business assistant for a local jewelry designer.
Mhm.
And it was a very small company. I was the only employee. So eventually I did get laid off. And then I was working as a receptionist. And during that time, I decided just to look into life coaching. And I realized, I'm not going to know unless I try it. And so I did a few informational interviews with graduates of this program that I knew about and just decided, like, okay, sounds great. I'm going to do it. And just signed up for the course, which started, I think, a couple days after. And through that course, I got to do peer coaching and practice coaching people that I knew. And it came pretty natural for me. And so I realized, like, this is what I'm good at, and I can help people through coaching. And it's very fulfilling for me. So I really
Mm.
enjoy it.
So, could you tell us a little bit about what is life coaching? What do you help people with?
Yeah, so life coaching is a partnership between the coach and the client. Some people think that it's being told what to do, which is a misconception. The coach doesn't tell the client what to do. It's more like asking questions and having an open dialogue and trying to figure out answers together. And it's also different from therapy. That's also another thing that people wonder about. So, therapy focuses on the past and processing emotions
Mhm.
and bringing someone from crisis to baseline. I think crisis is kind of a harsh word, but that's kind of what they use.
Mhm.
And coaching brings someone from baseline to flourishing. So,
Mm.
it's just going, beyond.
Since you're so passionate about life coaching, what aspect in the life coaching do you enjoy the most?
I enjoy the most forming connections with people, asking questions that maybe they haven't thought of before, and to get them curious and to bring out their own insight. I think seeing that and being a witness for somebody is really powerful, and it's very rewarding for me.
I love the stuff that you do. Can you tell us what are some of the mindsets that you personally had to overcome in order to go from jumping into life coaching? What are some of the mindsets that you find that for yourself you have to shift in order to jump into this business of yours?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I came back from India, so that was a catalyst for my journey of self growth. And when I came back, I realized that I was seeking things externally. So, doing a lot of workshops and healings and things like that. And so, when I came back, I decided to go internal. And so, I was journaling about 50 to 60 hours a week and just writing everything about, what are my fears, my anxieties, worries, my dreams, my passions, and really digging in deep and asking myself why. Why do I feel this way? What are the triggers? And really deepening my relationship with myself. So I got to know myself really well. And I think one of the things that came up was being able to then separate my voice from the voices of others, like my parents, especially my dad. And so there was definitely a shift in, um, I would say, how um, I guess, how clear I am with who I am and being able to acknowledge that, okay, this is what I want. And
Wow.
this is who I am. And it's not, um, this is who my parents want me to be. And really separating that and having the courage and the confidence to go after what I really want.
Wow. How many hours did you say you journaled again? 60, up to 60 hours a week?
Roughly about 60 hours a week. Yeah. I wasn't
Wow.
working at that time, so it was like a full-time job to me.
So when you were journaling, was it just like a free journal that you were doing? Like, or was there like something that it was kind of like a guided thing that you were following? I'm just curious because I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah. So it was totally just freehand and free thought, stream of consciousness, and really asking myself questions just to probe deeper. And I think what really helped me the most was when I was in India, I took about 4 Tibetan Buddhism courses. And through the courses, I learned, how to be more self aware. And owning my emotions and realizing that nobody can make you feel a certain way, and that the emotions that arise come from within you, and to question, like, why do I feel that way? um, and what is it about the situation that made you feel that way? And I think a lot of times when people get triggered, it's not because of the current situation or the current person that they're talking to, but it's something old that is being relived.
I love that part about no one can make you feel a certain way. And you were going back into the feelings that you have. It's based on something that was from the past. It's great that you actually talked about that because when we were like between the age of 0 to 7, our brain waves are in this called the theta brainwave, and it's actually a hypnotic brainwave. When we're growing up, we're actually absorbing everything from our environment. Then whatever that comes after that, we live from this state, whether we think that we're not good enough because what other people say to us or whatever happened to us, and that kind of carries into our present moment. And I thought it was really interesting because let's say like I say something to you and you feel triggered, but if I say the same thing to another person, they may not feel triggered. And it's because
Exactly.
of what you had experienced before, then you perceived it as a positive or negative emotion. So this was huge to me because I was like, oh, wow, this is so amazing.
Yeah, and actually, now that you mention kind of the formative years of childhood, I remember that something that came up for me during my journaling sessions um, was my creative block.
Mm.
So I remember when I was in first grade, we were supposed to draw a picture based on a word that the teacher gave us. And the word I got was train. And so I did my best to draw a train, which I wasn't really sure what it was supposed to look like. And when we were presenting, this boy in my class, James, he said, "That doesn't look like a train." And I was just so crushed. I felt like I failed because my train didn't look like what it was supposed to. And I think from there on, it really had a big effect on me subconsciously. And so realizing that I had this traumatic event as a child in relation to my creativity um, really helped me heal.
I loved what you just shared with me because I've heard a few stories surrounding of what you just said. Like other people kind of stopped focusing into any aspects of their life because of what other people said about them. And I want to bring all of you to be like on the wall of Tiffany's. Those are her artwork, guys. Like she said she cannot draw a train. Okay, come on.
Not all of
I,
it, but some of it.
I love it. I love it. Like, and here's the thing, like, I want everyone to know that there are some blocks that we just have to work through. And it is part of why, like, the life coaching and why we bring in other people to kind of guide us into it. And because we just don't know that we have these blind spots that exist within ourselves, right? So that's why I love the work that you're doing, and I'm so glad that you're doing it. Before we wrap up, we're coming to a close. If there is a lesson that you would like to share with other Asian women, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to really get to know who you are and don't be afraid to go after what you want and express yourself.
I love it. And look at what Tiffany did. She just went ahead to go to India for a year without fear. Well, I don't know about the without fear part, but just going all in, right? Trying out different things, being curious, always learning, and going after something that you want, and that's going to change your life. Just going to change your life. So I know you have a free gift for us. Can you let us know what it is?
Yes, I'm happy to offer a 60-minute coaching session for free to anyone who is listening or watching. And there's a link that you can go to book a session.
All right. Thank you so much, Tiffany. It's so great to have you on here. And I hope that we'll get to do some collaboration soon.
Yes, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Claudia.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.